at the Board of Selectmen level, if nothing else, is how can we increase those revenues? That's one side that this committee is not responsible for. We live with whatever income we are providing. But certainly there is that income side that has to be looked at because we definitely recognize that year after year we're looking at what can we cut out, not what can we add. And I think that's where we should be looking.
Take the foreign languages. I think Mr. Fauchet's idea of having an exploratory 6th grade program where kids can look at more than just Spanish and French is an excellent idea. The problem is we should be offering those languages also in our high school.
Right.
And we have many neighboring communities that start offering languages in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade to give kids an immersion in that language when they really can learn it. So, and I do want to address, I'm not going to speak for the Board of Selectmen, but I think they're doing some things to try to raise more revenue. But unfortunately, we're going to have to spend money to raise revenue, such as the sewer, putting in the sewer in the town. And that's something where I think the Selectmen are hopeful that could increase business in town. But unfortunately, we're going to have to spend the money to raise the money. And they proposed the meals tax and put that in, and that's going to bring 100,000 plus into the town next year. We're trying to get creative, but it's an ongoing challenge. But those are great comments. Jeff, I want to
I just wanted to add something that Mr. McPherson was saying. It's important to understand. When we had the 4.5-day debacle,
yes,
okay, the arts was really devastated by that. And there's a gap between that group and the following group, all right, to the high school. And this year, Mrs. Fisher put on a play, and she asked who wanted to participate. She got 50 kids that want to participate. She didn't know what to do. The cafeteria is not the biggest place to put on a play with 50 kids,
right. So
she did 2 plays. And that just tells you the thirst that our children have for the arts and the languages and so on. And every time we have to make a budget cut, we're just choking that thirst. And we've got to get over this.
So let's from the back. Right.
Pam Ellis, I'm a parent of a future 7th grader, and I feel strongly that these cuts are just another step backwards, and like this other parent said, we'll never get this program back, we'll never get the languages back, the technology teacher. There's a lot of things we haven't brought back since our original cuts, and I feel strongly that we can't make these personnel cuts. And my son's going into 7th grade next year, and he already signed up for the Spanish. They sent the schedule home, and it was the first time he got to choose, make a choice in a course, and that was so exciting to him to have a little choice. And I think now to take that away, it's going to be devastating to that grade. I hope that somebody comes forward to fix this budget.
You got an inspector? Marcy?
Yeah, just briefly, because I agree with many of the points made here this evening. I see the selectmen sitting scattered in front of me, all with their iPads, and we're talking about one instructional technology teacher to take away the ability to bring technology to our students away. That's nonsensical when adults are saying this is a more efficient, current, better way to share information, and we're going to take that ability to have one person in the district to help teachers share that information that way, take it away. And it's no criticism to the school committee, who I'm sure has scrubbed this list, and the superintendent and all of the principals and wonderful administrators who has scrubbed this list. And these are the least odious of the cuts, and they're pretty bad when you say for $18,000, we have to take 225 7th graders and stick them in study hall, each for a quarter, and for many of them it will be their second study hall of the day. 1/3, they have 6 periods in a day. Many of them, for a quarter will spend 1/3 of their day in study hall. That is not how we should educate our children. As for contracts, you can talk about that from now until the end of time. I would hope that our contracts in North Reading are competitive with our neighboring school districts. No more, but a fair wage that allow teachers and all personnel in North Reading to live in this area. It's a high-cost area, but competitive with Middleton, Wilmington, Reading. That's what we should be looking for in contracts, not to just say, well, our teachers should take a cut. And lastly, I do think that the health insurance line item, obviously that's a statewide problem and it's unsustainable. I know the Board of Selectmen have hired a consultant. I really hope that that shows, shows some fruit this year, because that can help solve this problem and solve it going forward. Because if we don't solve that, we'll be back here next year saying, well, now do we have to reduce the 8th grade foreign language program? Or, I think we have to take away a music teacher at high school in addition to an art teacher. We're just chasing our tails. Already Mr. Crochet noted that foreign language in the 7th grade is down from a half year to a quarter year to nothing. That's not the trend I want to see. And that's a trend that's going to keep up unless we at least get the health insurance costs under control. So I hope that the consultant hired by the Board of Selectmen is being urged to be creative and to work with the unions in a way that can help us catch up and go forward productively.
Well, I give the selectmen and town administrator a lot of credit because they're putting a 2% increase into that budget for health insurance when we know that if we stay with our current plan, we're not going to be able to keep it at 2%. And that means we can't stay with our current plan. And I'm not going to just address the teachers union. For all unions in this community, come to reality. We can't afford this. Because every $100,000 we put into health insurance comes out of somebody's pocket in the town or somebody's pocket in the school department. And we just can't afford to do it. And I know what I pay for health insurance, which is $18,000 a year, and my plan stinks. I pay $18,000 a year for a family plan that has deductibles out the wazoo and has spending limits up here. It's like I almost have to die before the insurance company starts paying for anything. And I don't want the teachers to have to do that. But I think they have to look at what the real world is saying, teachers and other unions, about how much health care costs. And how much am I willing, or how much do I have to pay for it? At this point, there are probably more questions, but I would like to open it up to school committee members, if they have any comments, Michael or Cliff or Karen, anything.
I'm somewhat frustrated due to the fact that we're cutting language. The world is getting small. Economics is covered throughout the entire world. It's not just America anymore and the rest of the world. Secondly, technology is another very important aspect of our society at this point. So we're cutting out some of the most important things that not only adults but children have to learn. And then lastly, the textbook piece, it's a little deceiving. It's actually worse than buying new textbooks to replace old textbooks. This is a science program. Massachusetts is one of the largest biotech industries in the world, not the states. And we're going to cut out that science program. I have a third grader that was just enamored by this ADAM program that was introduced this year. And all his friends were actually talking about it and we were excited about their models, and we're just going to wipe that out. So we take science, which is the future of economies all over the world. We're taking technology and the language that we're going to need to communicate with each other to get to these aspects all out of this program. So I don't agree with it. I don't know what we can do about it in 2 weeks. And the other thing is, the state doesn't allow us to become a hybrid school system, which is a little frustrating, where we can actually pay ourselves for the textbooks or for the $98,000 in school expenses. So I don't know.
No, and Michael's right. And what I was referring to is we can't tell the parent-teacher organizations what to spend their money on. We can't tell parents, we love your donations of paper towels and tissue, which you donate 500 times a year, but we really want you to give us $100 each so we can keep our instructional technology teacher. We can't do that, and it's not sustainable. But that's basically what we're asking parents to do without asking them to do it, because we're asking them for lots of things all the time. One of the things we were talking about was maybe asking for more money for more smart boards and more technology. I'm not sure that's going to happen this year because the money's just not there. And we continue to get great support from the PTOs on the technology side. We're gonna have all this technology, and we're basically gonna have Patrick, as our director of academic services and also in charge of technology, running it from, he'll be basically the only one. It's just not, it's not a very functional situation. What?
This is my third budget hearing, and the first one, I looked up here, and I didn't recognize very many people. Now I know you all by first name. And I'll see you next year, because I'm running unopposed. I think
8 years of unopposed elections in the school committee, just FYI. We gotta get more people involved. We love Cliff, but.
Sean Delaney said it, that these are unacceptable. All of our cuts have been unacceptable. Every year we come back and it's more of the same. It's a constant erosion of the system. We increment it away a little bit at a time, and then we say, well, we can't afford anymore. The gaps that were mentioned at the lower grades, you miss that little piece and you never make it up. And I can tell you that I went through differential equations in college several times because I missed a piece back in high school. And you don't ever make up those little pieces as you go along. The thing that we're faced with is that although we say we can't afford anymore, you already have a bargain. You're paying, you're in the lowest 25%, lowest 25% of per student expenditures in the state. That means you're getting a real bargain. The town's getting a real bargain, but the parents are getting a real bargain. And for that, when we say that you're getting a bargain, there were some numbers that were put out that, we're in the better 20% on MCAS at 10th grade. We're actually, our math MCAS, we're in the top 13%, and in science, we're in the top 15%. Those are fantastic numbers. You're squeaking out of the system real value. What we need is to put more money into the system, because right now, you're getting too good a bargain. We're faced with this every single year, where we're taking this little piece out and this little piece out, and we're whittling away. We're never building it back up to what it should be. And we need to work on that. Now, there's a structural problem with this, of course, that every year we have step increases, which increase us more than 2.5% for the major part of our expenditure, the labor portion. But that is changing somewhat. Mel mentioned that it's around 50-50. Every year, we seem to be getting more and more teachers that come up to their top step. And so my earlier suggestion a couple of years ago was we'll just ought to hire everybody at the top step and then get rid of that problem. But the cost, of course, would be a little higher to start with. But we have a structural problem with that. What we also have is a structural problem with, we have an awful lot of children in town for the number of people paying the bill. And we've worked on trying to get the formulas fixed for that. I've had not very much success. I've had some success in having people understand what I'm talking about, but we have a very large number of children as compared with the number of people paying the bill. That's a very significant thing. If you went to, say, Saugus, you'd find that there are like twice as many people paying the bill as per child as there are in North Reading. Just picture if we had half as many kids or twice as many people, it would be an awful lot easier for us to pay the bill. So that's another structural problem that we have. But somewhere in there, we need to either find more revenue, or we have to talk to the rest of the town about doing that nasty word. And of course, because I'm unopposed, I can actually even say it. we need to think about doing some sort of an override